Hello, Man in Gray here with another Man in Gray book review. Today's book is National Geographic, The Photo Ark, One Man's Quest to Document the World's Animals by Joe Sartore. This was published by National Geographic in 2017. It's 400 pages long. Noah's Ark is the story of a man who collects animals from all over the world in order to save them from destruction. Well, Joe Sartore is doing kind of the same thing, only with a camera. He's traveling all the way around the world. He's a wildlife photographer, works frequently with National Geographic, travels all over the world, and his goal is to photograph every species of animal that's in captivity, in zoos or wildlife refuges or whatever, aquariums, whatever. And the idea here is twofold. One is to preserve images of these animals before they go extinct, as many of them are critically endangered or threatened. And the other goal is to raise awareness of how endangered so many of these animals are because of habitat destruction, climate change, and of course deliberate hunting of some of these animals. Now, what makes this different from a lot of other nature photography books is that all these photographs are taken in studios. They're not taken out in the wild the way most wildlife photographs are. They're shot basically in a zoo or in a wildlife refuge, and all the animals are posed against either a black or white background. And there's camera lighting and everything. This is very similar to what was done in the 1970s by the fashion photographer Richard Avedon. He was commissioned in the 70s by the Amon Carter Museum in Fort Worth, Texas, to do a series of photographs of people in the western United States. And so he decided to take a portable background with him, and he posed all these people against a white background so that you couldn't see anything, couldn't see he basically took them out of their background and put them against a white background. And you can see the same thing. I'll show you a couple of examples here real quickly. Here's a photograph of American flamingos. You can see they're posed against a black background. These, of course, in a zoo. And then we have one. Here's a white background. This is an animal called, these are birds called red knots. And these are posed against a white background. And like that. And as I was saying, Richard Avedon photographed people against a white background in his project that he did that was published in a book form called The West. And at the time, there was some criticism of it because people were saying, well, by posing people against a white background like that, you're turning them into objects, because Avedon was a fashion photographer, and of course, models are basically considered objects. They're there to show off the clothes. And there were people saying, well, because you're posing these human beings against a white background and not showing them against in their homes or their work or whatever, the countryside, you're turning them into objects and not people. But his justification was, his explanation was, I want to pose them against the white background so that people pay attention to the person and not the background behind them. Right, because there's so many striking backgrounds in the West, the Rockies, the deserts, and so forth. He didn't want that to be the focus. He wanted the focus to be on the people. And that's the same idea here, I think, is that Sartore wants you to focus on the animals. And, of course, by shooting them in studio conditions with lighting and everything, you get very meticulously lit photographs. These are beautiful, beautiful photographs, far more detail, much brighter color than you'd get if you were shooting animals out in the wild with a telephoto lens. But I do have sort of the same objection, minor objection, that people had with Avedon's photographs. By shooting these animals in an unnatural situation, against a white and black background, you are kind of turning them into objects, and so they don't really seem to exist as animals anymore. One other thing in this book, is from time to time, and I think this is the best part of the book, actually, there are some little essays in here about some of the people that Sartore has worked with on his project and how they are working to try to preserve these animals. Here's one, for example. This is a man from Vietnam named Tito Nodler, who works at a zoo in Vietnam, and he has dedicated his life to trying to preserve these Vietnamese monkeys who are endangered, an endangered species. So throughout the book, you get not just Sartore's photographs, but you get little stories about some of the people that he works with who are dedicating themselves to trying to save biodiversity. I think we can all get behind the idea of let's try to keep animals from becoming extinct. So I recommend this book. I do have some problems with it, as I mentioned, but I think they're beautiful illustrations, particularly the birds are really some of the best bird photography I've ever seen. It's really beautiful, and this is the first of 4 volumes so far that have come out, all under the Photo Ark name. So if you like this book, there's some others you can get as well that follow the same basic pattern here. So if you like this, it's a beautiful book, National Geographic, so you know the photography is going to be really good. The book is The Photo Ark. The author is Joe Sartore. This has been another Man in Gray book review. Thanks for watching.